Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Today we're going to be going over 7 reasons to be playing one of the best MMORPGs out there, Guild Wars 2. Let's not waste any time. Getting started at number 1 is the profession class system. Guild Wars 2 has 9 professions that you can choose from, and each of those professions, if you own the appropriate expansions, has 4 elite specializations. On top of that, we have 5 playable races to choose from, which means there's a crazy amount of variety in how you can play this game. This might be one of the best, if not the best, MMORPG when it comes to buildcraft and player expression. And I guess also in this number 1 slot, we can just mention combat. Combat in Guild Wars 2 is very fluid without feeling floaty. Kinda has this action tab target system, which still feels great even though Guild Wars 2 is over 10 years old. At number 2, if you have ever heard the term fashion wars, well, they're talking about Guild Wars 2 and the transmutation system. This game throws a massive amount of cosmetics at you, which allows you to make a character look however you want. For example, you can make a character that sits more on the practical side with armor and plate mail, or you can go absolutely crazy with the visual effects, looking all sparkly and shiny. And yes, of course, they do have bikini armor. Whatever visual representation you have in your mind about a character, there's a really good chance that you can create that in Guild Wars 2. And at number 3, I put the campaign, story, and we can also throw the lore in there as well. Guild Wars 2 Interior is a fully realized fantasy world that has rich history, compelling conflicts, lots of secrets and mysteries, and a bunch of world-ending threats that you would expect from a fantasy setting. And while the quality of the narrative and the storytelling, it can waffle at times, this is just a great onboarding experience for new players to introduce them to the world, get them around exploring in different maps, and if you literally just stick to doing your personal story, you're going to get more than your money's worth out of that experience alone. And I do think the quality of the story and the narrative sits at an enjoyable experience that is at least worth a one-time playthrough. For example, if you stick around to Living Story Season 4, that section of the game has some really memorable moments. It definitely reaches the level of, say, something like a single-player RPG, and that's hard to pull off in an MMO. And at number 4, this one caught me by surprise, but it's the crafting, gathering, and the economy of Guild Wars 2 that I think deserves a spot on this list. Because as somebody who usually doesn't engage with those systems in other MMOs, Guild Wars 2 makes it very approachable. And on the crafting side, it's very intuitive the way they've set up the UI. It makes things very clear what you need and how to refine certain materials to craft whatever you want. And then moving more towards the economy side, the market board. The innovation for this, it's so good just to be able to instantly sell or instantly buy materials. Even if you don't engage, say, in the crafting or gathering side, you're going to be getting all these materials just from doing activities that you're going to be able to immediately just dump off on the market board and earn some gold in return. So now when I go to play another game and has some sort of player trading or market board, I compare it to Guild Wars 2, and if it's not up to snuff, I go, man, I really wish they would have just taken that from Guild Wars 2 because that system is awesome. So the crafting, the gathering, the market board, yep, it definitely deserved a spot on this list. At number 5, I put the mounts. Guild Wars 2 has the best mounts in any game, I think, ever. Just the variety, how they feel, the way they interact with the world as far as their special abilities. Sure, some are better than others, but they each have their distinct place in the game that they can really shine. Now personally, I do think mounts tend to ruin the exploration, especially in large open world games, but if you're gonna do mounts, you gotta do it like Guild Wars 2. Down to their movements, their animations, the way they control, and the weight behind them. I mean, shit, the mounts were so good in Guild Wars 2 that WoW decided to steal, the dragon for their Dragonflight expansion. That was a while ago, but we don't forget. That was a Guild Wars 2 thing, and it's still better in this game. Coming in at number 6, I put the distinct game modes that Guild Wars 2 has. We have World vs. World, where you pit hundreds and hundreds of players all against each other, capturing objectives, going out and roaming to do some solo dueling. You can take out enemies' supply camps, capture keeps. This is a game mode I really enjoy because it kind of puts you in the scale of like an RTS game where you're just a single soldier, but you get these epic Zerg versus Zerg encounters, and it's got its own fleshed out reward systems. And to be honest, World vs. World could be its own standalone game, and I think it would be really popular. But it doesn't stop there. We also have structured PvP where you can do 2 versus 2, 5 versus 5. They have these daily tournaments that go on, monthly tournaments, and those are all really rewarding if you want to get really sweaty with the PvP system in Guild Wars 2. I mean, shit, I just said World vs. World could be its own standalone game, and there's no reason the structured PvP couldn't be as well. And then of course you have the more traditional MMO, I would say open world content, where you have dynamic events, you have world bosses, you have these map-wide meta events that everybody participates in. It's very casual friendly. And I think the biggest thing to point out about all these game modes is that the barrier to entry, there's literally no friction. You can literally just get into the action right away. And last up on my list here, I have the business model. This is one of the most consumer-friendly games out there. There is no subscription fee. You buy the box game and then you're good to go. I really value this, especially in an MMO, because sometimes you just want to log on to see these characters that you've spent, hundreds, if not thousands of hours with. And if you do this with a subscription game, well, you got to give them $15 just to kind of check in on your characters. I don't like that feeling at all. Now, Guild Wars 2 does have its own in-game shop, but the currency, the gems that you need to buy stuff within the store with, you can trade your in-game gold for gems, and vice versa. You can buy gems to then transfer that into in-game gold. And I think overall with this in-game store, as long as the game keeps up with adding content and like skins and stuff in the game as rewards to earn, if they keep that in balance with, I would say, stuff that you can only get in the store, I think the system is fine. And so far, Guild Wars 2, I think they've been pretty respectful to the players as far as what they're achieving in-game, while balancing, yes, they need to make money. So of course you get a lot of like mount skins that get added to the store that are, they can be pretty expensive in my opinion. So that's my top 7 reasons to play Guild Wars 2 or return to it, or what makes it special. But there's a few of that I really left out, so we can just rattle off those as kind of like a bonus section. Number 1, the community. The community is very friendly, very, I would say, welcoming to new players, or just finding niches in this game as far as like raiding, world versus world. You'll find a community in all of those facets of the game, and again, they're all very welcoming. Jumping puzzles, those are something that Guild Wars 2 I think does the best because of their movement system that they went with, so those are all very enjoyable. Festivals in Guild Wars 2, they are some of the best festivals in, I would say, gaming in general as well. The Queen's Gauntlet, that's my favorite. You get to go up against these bosses in like solo arenas. That's a lot of fun. Super Adventure Box basically turns this game into a different genre with like these blocky textures, kind of like an old school retro game. That's really cool. And then Mad King for the Mad King's Tower. That's a Halloween event. That's an epic event. Kind of, I think everybody knows about the Halloween event in Guild Wars 2 because it's kind of like renowned. Other than that, the meta events, I would say the world bosses, not just like the normal world bosses, the like tough ones. So Tequaddle, Triple Trouble. Well, I would say Twaddle is actually not as hard as it used to be, but on launch, when they did the rework and that was really difficult, they created this theater of war where you had multiple things going on with this, giant undead dragon that you had to deal with. It was so epic back in the day. Same with the Shatterer before everything. We've been power crept a lot as players, so those bosses now are like kind of like loot pinatas, but man, they are epic, and no other game does them like Guild Wars 2, I would say. So I kind of wish they would do more of those tougher, I would say, meta events again, because again, I think when they create that theater of war, it is just it's something to behold. Basically, you just kind of had to be there. And all right, some other things to list off: skiffs for fishing. That is really cool. I really feel like fishing just came into the game, but that was introduced in End of Dragons, which was like however many years ago. I don't know. The brain don't work as good as it used to. And then I think the last thing I want to mention is the new quick play for fractals and then the raids and strikes. I think that's a great resource to get your foot in the door for new players. Maybe if you're a little, you don't want to join a party because you don't know all like the terminology, you don't really have a build kind of figured out. The quick play allows you to kind of dip your toes in those pieces of content, get familiar with terminologies, how certain mechanics work, builds, and then sees, okay, do you want to take that a step further and start going deeper into those contents and finding a community, or are you just fine with the quick play, that level of the content, and that's all completely fine. But I really think they needed that quick play option. Again, you want to get people in the door to at least see, okay, is this content for me or is it not? Because it can kind of be intimidating in an MMO, but I think Guild Wars 2 makes it very approachable. Alright, that is the video. I went over my 7 reasons. Let me know if I missed any. I feel like I could make another video on 7 more reasons to come back to Guild Wars 2, where it makes it so enjoyable. If you are new to the channel or you want to see more Guild Wars 2 content, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Peace and take care.